This is All India Radio. Please stand by for our next program.
This is All India Radio. You will now hear comments from the press. The Economic Times, in its editorial titled "The EC Not So Toothless After All," writes, "The Election Commission's EC's decision to bar Uttar Pradesh Chief Minister and BJP leader Yogi Adityanath and Bahujan Samaj Party BSP Chief Mayawati from campaigning for 72 hours and 48 hours respectively is welcome. Adityanath's conduct was clearly more egregious than that of the BSP leader, and his heavier penalty is appropriate. His censuring these leaders for their polarizing rhetoric and limiting their public interactions, the Commission sent out a clear message about what is not acceptable. But the Commission needs to do much more. Samajwadi Party's SP Azam Khan plumbed new depths with his attack on BJP candidate Jayaprada. There can be no excuse for the misogyny of Khan's comments. To take a tough stand on sexism and misogyny is low-hanging fruit. No party can defend comments that demean and intimidate women, limiting their participation in politics. Taking decisive action against Khan would incentivize candidates and political leaders to take a long and hard look at their public utterness. Then there are cases like that of Union Minister for Women and Child Development Maneka Gandhi, who suggested that she is not obliged to work for those who fail to vote for her in the elections. This flies in the face of a basic tenet of representative democracy. The Member of Parliament is not just the representative of those who voted for them, but of all other members of the constituency. The Hindu, in its editorial titled "Slowing Down Fast," says yet another indicator worryingly points to the Indian economy slowing down fast. Industrial growth was just 0.1% in February from the year earlier period, the slowest pace in 20 months. Industrial output had expanded by 6.9% in February 2018. Industrial growth, as measured by the Index of Industrial Production, has been slowing down considerably in recent months, dropping to just 0.2% year-on-year in November. Manufacturing, which has a weight of almost 78% in the index, continues to be at the biggest drag, with output contracting by 0.3% as compared with an 8.4% jump in the year earlier period. The largest contributor to the slowdown in February was the capital goods sector, which shrank by close to 9%, with the contraction widening from the preceding month's 3.4%. That the revision in this closely watched proxy for business spending plans has widened from the 3.2% contraction reported last month is striking. GDP grew by just 6.6% in the quarter ended December, the slowest pace in 6 quarters. Various institutions such as the Reserve Bank of India and the International Monetary Fund have been lowering their expectations for India's growth in the coming quarters, with other economic indicators such as the Purchasing Managers Index and high-frequency data like automobile sales also signaling weakening momentum. The overall scenario, when viewed along with the slowdown in industrial output, suggests that a turnaround in economic growth is not in sight. The Indian Express, in its editorial titled "Building Peace," writes, "The outgoing Pakistan High Commissioner Sohail Mahmood, who is returning to Islamabad to take charge as Foreign Secretary, has iterated Pakistan Prime Minister Imran Khan's call for the resumption of dialogue after the elections. The need for India and Pakistan to resolve their differences by peaceful methods is a no-brainer. Finding a modus vivendi as cordial neighbors, if not as the best of friends, is an imperative because the alternatives are too dire to contemplate." Implicit in Mahmood's call is the expectation that what happened at the election stays in the election and that all the grandstanding settles down once victory and defeat have been decided. It usually does. There is much talk of Pakistan and war this election season in India, but the political leadership of this country knows that actual war is a messy business. This is why there is recognition that the two countries must normalize relations. This is why while the leading lights of the BJP were demanding in Parliament befitting reply for a particularly bad brand of ceasefire violations in 2017, the national security advisors of both the countries were in secret talks. So if Pakistan wants peace today, it should not be interpreted by India as a sign of weakness, as Prime Minister Narendra Modi said in Kathua. Nor should India be considered weak for talking to Pakistan rather than sending the Indian Air Force to bomb terrorist targets. Those were the comments from the press presented to you by the News Services Division of All India Radio.